Today we commemorate the 156th birthday of our founder, Bishop Charles Harrison Mason. And it is befitting that we are here in Mason Temple, highlighting one of the most significant heritage monuments of his leadership and vision, the world headquarters of the Church of God in Christ, right here in Memphis, Tennessee. 2020 marks the 75th anniversary of Mason Temple's completion and dedication. This awesome temple stands as a flagship of our great church. It was a monumental achievement coming upon its completion in 1945 and being the largest gathering place in Memphis, as well as the largest church owned and operated by African Americans in the United States. The three-story building was constructed of brick, stone, reinforced concrete, and steel. The main auditorium seating capacity was nearly 5,000. The balcony seated 2,000, and the assembly room under the balcony also had the capacity of 2,000. The temple had a baggage claim check registration area, post office, a barber shop, a beauty salon, first aid and emergency ward, a nursery, male and female restrooms and shower baths, a shoe shine parlor, 36 administrative offices, 2 industrial kitchens, 2 cafeterias, a concession area, photographic booth, an elaborate indoor and outdoor sound system. Mason Temple emerged out of Bishop Mason's dream of having a modern National Convocation Center, headquarters complex, and it illustrates his progressive vision for the future of his church. It is also a memorial to the legacy of Bishop Mason's life and achievements as an architect, as chief apostle, senior bishop of the Church of God in Christ. The building was named after Bishop Mason to commemorate him as the Church of God in Christ founder, and was erected to honor many Church of God in Christ pioneers. Mason Temple is also a monument to the international peace and unity, and it also served as a rallying place for freedom during the Civil Rights Movement. Throughout the first decade of the 20th century, Bishop Mason organized the Church of God in Christ National Convocations in Memphis. From 1907 to 1922, Bishop Mason conducted his national meetings at his local church, Saints Home. Today it's called Temple Church of God in Christ. It was located at 392 South Wellington Street. And then by 1920, Bishop Mason needed more space for his national meetings. And in 1922, he purchased land at 958 South 5th Street in South Memphis. And with the help of his wife, Lelia, and many of the Church of God in Christ national leaders, he erected the National Tabernacle, where the Church of God in Christ national convocations were held from 1923 until 1936. The year in 1936, the tabernacle was destroyed by fire. But Bishop Mason then held convocations back at his local church temple, located at 672 South Lauderdale Street from 1936 to 1945. And in 1940, Bishop Mason started rebuilding the National Temple at South 5th Street that we know today as Mason Street. He appointed Bishop Riley F. Williams as the chairman of his building commission. General Secretary at that time, Bishop U.E. Miller, was appointed the supervisor of construction, and Elder Henry Taylor was the architect. And in the mid-1930s, Bishop Mason and his wife Lelia Mason, they had begun drawing plans to erect a mega temple built on the same design and style as the White House. But these plans faltered when the U.S. Entered into World War II, which led to the government's restrictions on the use of building materials, especially steel. But when Bishop Williams, Bishop Miller, and Elder Taylor started construction, the Church of God in Christ only had $2,900 in its treasury. And from 1940 to 1945, many Church of God in Christ leaders, the women's department, Sunday school department, YPWW department, the pastors, the members, and citizens of the city of Memphis helped Bishop Mason raise enough money to rebuild the National Tabernacle. And it was completed in 19 1845, and the building was dedicated during the convocation that same year. Many historical and cultural events have taken place at Mason Temple. In 1948, social activist Paul Robeson held a freedom rally there to espouse the cause of the Progressive Party and the presidential campaign of Henry Wallace. And on July the 3rd, 1959, Martin Luther King actually delivered his first speech at Mason Temple during a Get Out the Vote freedom rally. And then, of course, a plethora of gospel artists during that time have performed at Mason Temple, including Arizona Drains, Utah Smith, Ernestine Washington, Rosetta Thorpe, Mahalia Jackson, and many others. In November 1961, 10,000 people came to Mason Temple to attend Bishop Mason's funeral. His body was entombed in a marble vault located in the lobby of the temple. And during the Memphis sanitation strike of 1968, sanitation workers rallied for a living wage at Mason Temple. And on April the 3rd, 1968, Dr. King delivered his last and final speech, "I've Been to the Mountaintop." It was here at Mason Temple in 1993, President Bill Clinton addressed the Church of God in Christ delegates during the convocation. And in the midst of his 2000 presidential campaign, Vice President Al Gore also addressed the Church of God in Christ delegates. Today, Mason Temple still and yet stands as a monument for racial unity and is listed on the National Register of Historic Places as one of the historic sites of the historical civil rights movement. Ultimately, for the Church of God in Christ, Mason Temple is a monument of our Pentecostal faith and resilience.